Good morning. Welcome to our July Seniors Living Smarter webinar. We're thrilled to have you here and looking forward to an informational session with our guest panelists today. I'm Virginia Lazenby. I'm a certified senior downsizing coach and realtor, and I'm the founder and host of these monthly seminars. We started the seminars 6 years ago with the purpose, as we always remind people, our purpose is to educate, equip, and inspire seniors to make informed choices and empowered decisions. And I love the topics we've covered over the years. I love the relationships we've formed with people and just look forward to continuing more and more of this. I want to say today we're in a celebratory mood. You can't see the whole celebration outfit here, but I am thrilled. This is our 16th Zoom webinar and actually our final webinar. No, not the final seminar. We go live next month at First Presbyterian. That had been our home for over 4 years, and we'll be able to return, and you'll be hearing more about that in just a minute. Seems we kind of measure the world these days in pre-COVID or post-COVID. So it was a real scampering last March when we could no longer get together in person, and what are we going to do? We are committed to these seminars. So as many individuals and groups did, we turned to Zoom, and it's one of those love-hate relationships. I'm glad we've had this platform so we could continue offering the monthly seminars. Yes, it can be nerve-wracking. I want to thank everybody for their perseverance. I know sometimes there have been challenges with links or getting connected, but I appreciate your hanging in there. And most importantly, I wanted to thank Jeff Cramp, who's been working with me for 10 or 12 years in marketing and on website design and content, and sort of got drafted to become our Zoom person. So Jeff has been a lifesaver, and Brielle Gard, our administrative assistant who joined us a few months ago, has been great at getting everything registered and helping us solve problems. So a big thank you to you all for your support. And especially a thank you to our attendees. We have a poll today I'd like to kind of start off with here, if Jeff can help us with this. We often want to involve people, and so our poll today, we have 2 questions. Look forward to your responses. Have you only attended Seniors Living Smarter seminars via Zoom? So if you've only been to the Zoom webinars, but not to live ones, you can mark yes or no. And have you also attended our in-person meetings at First Presbyterian? So let's see here. One of the benefits of Zoom, and I am grateful for that, is it's given us a time to connect with some people who, for a variety of reasons, are not able to attend the live seminars. Sometimes transportation, mobility, caregiving responsibilities. So I'm glad we've been able to add new people to our group. And just to let you know that when we go live next month, we will not be broadcasting live, but we will record the seminars, and they will go up on our website. Usually it's the next week. So you'll still have access to the information, but I'm looking forward to it. So this is interesting. Of our roughly, and not everyone always does the polls, but for 7 people, they have only attended the webinars. So I hope that some of you will be able to join us live next month. Some of you may not, but it is fun to see all see and hear the conversations, engage in conversations with other attendees and with our sponsors and our presenters. For those of you who have not been, we are at First Presbyterian. I'll explain more about where to enter at the end. But we have, in addition to the seminar, a resource area, And there's where we have a place for people to interact more with our sponsors and our presenters for that particular day. So it just enriches your experience for learning. So let's see, have you also attended? So 61% have attended live seminars at First Pres. And so we're looking forward, hopefully that, oh, yeah, I guess everybody can see those. So looking forward to having you join us live next month. And at the end of today's seminar, we open up for questions. If you have any additional questions about that, please let us know. Okay. One of the things I do want to highlight, and you saw on the slides as they rotated through, we have a group of sponsors who help put on the seminars, from marketing to just the whole expense associated with the seminars. And I've really been grateful. These businesses and services are people who really share our commitment to education. We're not out to market. Yes, we'd like to form relationships with people. And if we seem the right person to help you, we're glad to do that. But we know the importance of people having information. And so along the way, you've met several of these sponsors. You'll have more opportunity to interact with them at our live seminars. But just as a reminder, Silver Key benefits, if you have questions about your insurance, long-term care, medical insurance, and so on, they're a great resource to turn to. Vera Bank, financial planning, estate planning, being your fiduciary. They are really committed to people understanding and knowing options and resources. Visiting Angels, when we have that need for home care, a great resource to turn to, and we appreciate their continuing as sponsors. Wesleyan Homes is a sponsor. They're going to be spotlighted. You'll hear about them in just a minute. And the other sponsor is my business, Seniors Living Smarter Services. And just real quickly, it's a comprehensive coordinated downsizing service, from the actual move management, liquidation, property preparation, to help get you're on your way for your downsizing. It's a supplement to my real estate business, so we can provide all services for you. And if that's something of interest, just like any of our other sponsors, be sure to follow up with people about that. All right, let's turn to our spotlighted sponsor. And let's see here. Okay. So we'll get Holly back on here. There we go.
Hi.
Hi, Holly, would you introduce yourself? You're newer to the Georgetown community, and so briefly introduce yourself and Wesleyan, and a little bit about why you all have been such great sponsors of the Seniors Living Smarter seminars.
Great, and thank you for the opportunity. I'm Holly Hallett, and I'm the new marketing director for the Wesleyan. And I'm sure many of you, probably most of you know the Wesleyan. We've been a major resource to the community, to the senior community in Georgetown for I think over 60 years now. We offer a full continuum of services, including a variety of independent living settings, assisted living, skilled nursing, and I don't know them all yet, I mean by memory, home care, and also hospice, in addition to memory care. We're proud to offer ourselves as an organization, as a resource to the community. And as a resource, we feel very strongly about empowering seniors and their families who are seeking information about retiring or relocating. And we want, one of our mission-driven goals is to help our residents feel comfortable in any setting they come into. Also, I think along with that is the idea that we want to help everyone find the right place for their senior years. So if you have questions, please get in touch with us. We do have someone on point who is much more conversant than I am today. And her name is Christy Schuler, and she's our community resources liaison. And I guess the other point I'd make is if you know, we're very open to questions. We're very open to just helping people feel comfortable in the next step in life.
Okay. Thanks, Holly. We appreciate you being here. And yeah, Holly did kind of get thrown into this introduction as she's learning her way around Wesleyan, but we're glad to have you with us. And you know, she mentioned Christy Schuler. Christy's often with us. Many of you have met Christy. She is our community liaison who can help answer any of those questions about further information about services they provide. So briefly about our format, we're going to open this up with our panelists in just a minute. And then we have pre-planned questions, and there'll probably be some free flow back and forth also. But then around 11 generally is when we open up for questions from the floor for your electronic raise hand. So that's the way we'll do it rather than taking questions along the way. So let's see. I think, Mary, you want to come join me here? We'll do a little shifting.
I'm too short.
Oh, no, I have to turn this down. Here we go. All right, just let us get reorganized here. All right, very good. So, you know, I always say each month I'm so excited to present our program, and I always am. So this month is your home taking the fun out of life, or the are you ready to relax without letting your home own you? And to help us explore that topic, learn more about it, we've called on some seniors who've recently, or more or less recently, made the transition from home ownership to some type of senior living. They're going to tell you a little bit about their own experiences, and then I'll fill in some more with some options so that people have a, you know, understand the variety of senior living options that are available. And really what we're focusing on is that whole, we often use the term downsizing, but yes, it often is moving into a smaller space where we're really able to maximize. And, you know, some of us have larger homes, but actually we only use a very small portion of it. And so, you know, there's some advantages, but we want these individuals, which we appreciate their being with us today, to share their experience and then open it up for questions that you might have. And these are true experts. These are people who've done the downsizing. And so we're glad to have them here. I'm going to first ask them just to introduce themselves. Tell us a little bit about who you are, where you live now, where you lived previously, and then we'll follow up with more questions to learn more about the transition, perhaps their new home, and pros and cons or whatever. So let's start with Mary Carter is here in our studio with us today. So Mary, if you'll introduce yourself.
I'm Mary Carter. I'm currently living at Affinity Senior Apartments in Round Rock. I've been there for 2.5 months, and I previously lived in Sun City, Georgetown.
All right, thank you for being with us. And Nancy and Bill Marsh, if you'll introduce yourselves.
I'm Nancy Marsh, and we have been here at the Wesleyan Independent Living for about 1.5 years.
Yes.
We moved in just before Thanksgiving. And prior to that, we lived south of Southwestern University, a few blocks.
Okay.
So we lived on the east side of Georgetown.
All right. Bill, anything you want to add to that story?
You did a good job.
Good, you got a seal of approval, Nancy, very good. So they are living in both of our groups here today are in apartments, and we're gonna learn more about space and how it works for you. Um, I think a question that is often on people's minds, okay, when's the right time to move? No, I'm not ready to move. And don't, well, you can get us going on that topic. And we've had seminars just on that topic. So, in a way, it's a different discussion, although closely related. But I want us in this way to learn a little bit more about these people's experience. And they'll probably tell us why it was the right time for them to make the move or what they perceive that to be. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to start with Mary since she's right here, and then we'll go to Marcia's. What prompted you to make the move from home ownership to an apartment in a senior community?
I was living alone for the first time in my life for the last year and a half. And the responsibility of the upkeep of the property and hiring everything to be done, I just realized that was more than I needed right now.
Okay, so it was just that ongoing responsibility.
Right.
And as we continue on, I think after your reflections on this, you learn some more that will come up later
I
about
did. Yes.
factors in this decision. Bill and Nancy, what about you? What prompted you to move from your home in East Georgetown to an apartment at Wesleyan?
It's much the same thing. We just decided that the home maintenance and the responsibilities of maintaining the house just paled compared to living with community and independent living here.
Okay. Anything you want to add, Nancy, or?
Well, our financial counselor has a saying that it's like Goldilocks. It's you either go too soon or too late. Nobody gets it just right. And we thought we'd rather go soon rather than too late. We do hear a lot of friends saying, I should have done this a year ago.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. And, that is something we hear a lot when we, so what makes something too late? Okay, just rolling it out here, folks. It's when the crisis occurs.
Sure.
That's when it's often too late.
Right.
And what I mean, okay, let me explain a little bit more about the crisis we're talking about in this situation. It may be a fall, it may be a stroke, maybe COVID, both your own having it or just the pandemic that happened to us as a society. But all of those create the potential for
Yes.
a more immediate move. And in some cases, depending on the situation, it may be that a decision will need to be made for the person immediately, and it may not be your decision at that point in time.
That's right.
And that's one of the things that we're so committed to these. I know 95% of you out there going, I'm not going for a long time. Well, power to you to do that, but be prepared. And I think I love the Goldilocks story. We're just not quite right, but I think all of our people today, you've made the move and are able to enjoy. I think we'll hear more about, what do you see now that you have made the move, perhaps what are the benefits, and also I'm sure there's some adjustments or things you would want to be aware of. All right, so we are tired of home maintenance. I know over the years, I love the stories I hear from people when one woman said, I am tired of going to the store and worrying about meals. It's time to let that go. I'm ready to move. And others will say, well, yes, I don't have to do my lawn. I don't do a lot of upkeep around the house, but I'm still always having to worry, when is the lawn crew coming? When is this going to happen? If we have another snow vid, hopefully not, what about taking care of those, potential water breaks, pipe breaks, and so on. But all of those can become factors. And it's that timing. That was such a great story you shared about that, Nancy. So you decided it was time to give up the home ownership. Then comes the next decision. So where are you going? And there are different kinds of communities. After they highlight theirs, I'll highlight some others. Some people, I think especially with COVID this year, it's caused people to rethink how close they want to be with family. And we'll pick up a little bit on that because there's so many different factors. So March, you made the decision to move to the Wesleyan and into their independent living community. What prompted you to, or what attracted you to that community?
Well, we have been Wesleyan volunteers for about 15 years. So we had spent a lot of time in Wesleyan facilities. We began as volunteers at Scenic, which is a skilled nursing facility, and got to know the staff of the Wesleyan and the people who ran it in those days. And from there on, we just kind of stayed in contact and had a lot of friends who served on the board. And we were never really out of contact with the Wesleyan. So that's how we made our choice. It was simple for us because we knew people in management, we knew people living here, and making a choice of place for us was very easy. We did it kind of speedily because of the economy. Right now, our house would sell for a very good price and fast.
Mm-hmm.
That was no hassle.
Okay. Bill, anything you want to add?
No, not yet. No, she's doing fine.
Okay. So the fact that you knew kind of the inner workings, and I think in this case, and because Wesleyan is very committed to this, to their whole philosophy, and so it was something you felt a natural draw into, as well as the specific activities and so on. Okay.
Right.
Mary, what about you? What was it that prompted you, or again, what attracted you to Affinity, which is a 55 plus apartment complex?
Correct.
And so, I think over the years, more of us have developed an awareness of independent living and assisted and memory care. We often focus on independent living or apartments because there we're making a choice. Some of those others we get assigned to, or there's that necessity for that move. But Mary, you focused on the 55 plus apartment.
Yes.
And so let me highlight some differences and then you can tell your story. Okay. When we talk about independent living, many of you can cite this better than I can. Others of you, if you're coming on board, it's a little bit newer for you. The idea of independent living, you're in a community, and 2 or 3 of the main hallmarks are there's some type of food plan, whether it be 3 meals a day, a voucher system, 2 meals, but there are meals provided. And that's one of their hallmarks. Transportation of some form is provided in an independent living community. Light housekeeping, usually once a week, is part of being in an independent living community. Now, so those would be, I think, the major differences. In a 55 plus apartment, you're surrounded with people who are 55 or older.
Correct.
And you'll hear more about the apartments designed for that, but you don't have a meal plan or transportation per se, or housekeeping provided by the community.
Correct.
But you decided this was the right place for you. So fill us in on that.
I didn't want the meal plan. Affinity has all different sizes of apartments, from a studio apartment to a 1,200 square foot apartment. And you basically are just renting an apartment. However, it's a secure with locked doors community, and they have all kinds of amenities. Anything you would want, anything I had in Sun City on a smaller scale is offered there. And they do activities, they provide, like on Memorial Day, they cooked hamburgers for everyone and had drinks and hamburgers and sides and everything. So it's similar in a lot of ways, but yet it's more independent, I think.
Okay. And I remember, as I've told Mary, she's been good for me. It's good eye-opening. I know the 55 plus apartments are definitely an option for people, but I've loved getting to know more about her personal experience there. I remember before the Affinity opened, it is in Round Rock, it's just there. 1431 east of 35, along with the Outlet Mall and all the medical communities. So you're in a great location there. And I had visited with them, and the plans on paper sounded great for the Affinity. Well, I'd not had the opportunity to learn more about what it turned out to be really like there. And as Mary, and we'll probably even pick up more later on, but described experiences to me, and it worked well for her. But I have to admit, and I told you this, I've worked with Mary before, and selling a home, buying a home, and now selling that home. And when she called and said, I'm ready to sell, and so where are you going? Oh, I'm going to Affinity. Okay. So what attracted you? I don't want the meal plans. Okay, that's fine. And I know we've had people who have moved not even to age restricted apartments, but to regular apartments because they said, I don't want my husband up on the ladder anymore, but I want to do my own meals and I choose to be in not an age restricted. So there are lots of options out there. So let's turn to, what are you seeing? And you said it's a lot like your home in Sin City or the community, a smaller scale, but
Right.
you have, and you may even want to list some of those variety of activities
Oh,
you
my.
had. Some of them, highlight those. So, and I think you said a big thing about security, and this is true with our independent living communities.
Sure.
It's that you are in an environment where you are secure. And I know that, and I can see Marcia shaking their head. They're going to probably pick up on some more of that. But tell us a little bit more specifically. We'll start with Mary this time. The biggest difference between living in your home and in your apartment.
Well, I really think I have a much more social life. And I didn't realize it at the time, but my anxiety level is a lot less, and I didn't even know that was a problem. But I'm with people all day long, much more than I was in my home. And like I said, there's just everything there that you would want to do.
Okay.
You want me to list some of those
Well,
things?
give us a few examples.
They have an indoor heated saltwater pool. They have craft room, workshop, fitness center. They have a garden plot where you can have your own garden. They have an outdoor fire pit. They have outdoor grills that you can use at any time.
And doggy station.
Oh yes, they have
They
have a place where I can take my dog to bathe her. It's a wonderful little room. They have they call it a dilly-dally bar. They have happy hour there twice a week, and that's all furnished by the community. I go to a Bible study there. They have all kinds of crafts and games, that anything you would want to do.
Okay. All right. So pretty full array of activities there. Let's go back to Bill and Nancy. So you made the decision, you knew a lot about the Wesleyan, you went there, you're ready to give up home maintenance and so on. And you wanted to be proactive, it sounds like, rather than waiting till the crisis occurs. So you took a positive, proactive step there. Bill, you want to highlight any other differences between your home and being, and there may be some negative things that come up too.
Well, I think that we just have a wealth of activities to participate in. We also have a good security system. I have a fob that lets me get into my own door, but also is my access to meal plans and access to the front door. I have a call button that lets me anywhere on the campus, not just inside our apartment, anywhere on the campus, I can call and get help if I fall down or something like that, need assistance. We just have a whole wealth of things. Actually, it's amazing, but one of the big activities here is a beanbag baseball tournament. It is just, there's like 40 people involved in this thing, 5-person teams, and we play twice a week, and we shout and holler and support each other and have a good time. And every month the teams are resorted, so we have new people to meet on our team. But this is just an example of the people here supporting us, doing good things for us. If there's a light bulb that burns out, I just put a work order in, somebody comes and changes the light bulb for me. They don't want me up on a step ladder to do that. But whatever we want to do ourselves, we can do. We're not limited. We have a patio door, which is right behind us here. And we have a car. We can go to church and go to choir practice or whatever ourselves, or go visit our son out of town. No problem.
But if we get to the point where we don't want to drive, they do have quite a fleet of vehicles, and we can just ask for that a little ahead of time. And there are always people going to church on Sundays, so you don't have to be able to drive to get to your church and other important things like doctor appointments or shopping either.
Yeah.
So, as I hear all of you talking, and we've told these stories often, is you're not giving up independence.
No.
One of our seminars was how much freedom or independence do I give up in an independent living community? But the fact you talked about security, you all picked up on that also.
Yeah.
And the fact that you didn't realize there was a degree of anxiousness when you were living in your home by yourself.
Exactly.
So you're more peaceful with that, but you're out driving all over and going wherever you want.
Yes.
So, okay. And the same as you've mentioned here.
I think I actually gained independence from all the responsibility.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's good. Nancy, anything you want to add to that?
Well, I think that our experience has been very good in spite of COVID. And there were restrictions, and we weren't quite as independent when COVID was on, but we never got sick either. And it was worth it to have that restrictions that the Wesleyan did install. They really did everything they could to keep us safe and got us vaccines as quickly as they
In-house.
could. In-house, right? We didn't have to go anyplace.
And I know that, when COVID originally started, but continuing, there was such bad rap press about, these senior communities, and often those really were talking more about a skilled nursing or
Yes.
where
Yes.
people already have more health challenges
Yes.
to begin with. And that's not what the kind of community you all live in.
No.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I could never stand to be locked down in my 800 square foot apartment and not be able to go anywhere. Well, that wasn't quite true. Your
No.
meals were brought on to you. I know some people have said they don't want to see styrofoam again for a very long time. But, you did have your meals delivered to you.
Right.
But, and still there was a lot of encouraging people to stay as active, even if it's just walking down the long hallways, which I often hear as a reason not to move. I don't like those long hallways.
Actually, we love them because that helps us get exercise, even if the weather is too hot or too icy, as we have experienced,
Too wet.
or too wet. We can walk in the hall and we can get a pretty good exercise if we take up in both buildings and walk the halls, and we'll see a few other people doing the same. And sadly, some of the exercise classes continued in spite of COVID, and we wore masks and tried to stay apart.
I mean, we certainly don't want to go through that again, but you never know. But it was a good eye-opening experience. And I know people who just, it's not going to work, and they move with family, home with family, and that doesn't really work. It may, I'm not, but often it was, but so they're all decisions. I guess I'm always concerned that people get accurate information and not just go on the rumors about, but they couldn't go out of their apartment for months, or, whatever it might be. So, and that's the reason I love bringing our real experts to our attendees to get to learn. Bill?
I felt real comfortable knowing that we're in a place that is a healthcare management company or institution. So whether we have concerns, they know about the next level of concern. And we have a full-time regular nurse who's a compliance officer who maintained close relationship with the county health agencies and told us how things are going to go, what we can do, what we can't do, arrange to get vaccines here. I just felt very comfortable with the whole pandemic issue, not being frightened at all, but being very comfortable. Like you said, yes, we got some meals delivered, but we could stay here and do what we want to do and be fine.
And we could go when we wanted to go. We just needed to let people know where we were going. And when we came back, we got our temperature taken. And they did ask us to, say that we had not been out of the county or out of the state or whatever, and had not been with people who were sick. But that seemed only reasonable to me.
If it keeps us all safe, it's certainly worth it. Absolutely.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, now I want to ask, so is there anything, now be truthful, that you really miss about not living in your own home? I'm going to start with Marcia's. What is it? Is there anything you really miss?
Not very much. Once in a while, I say, gee, I could fix that rose bush out there if I had my clippers that I had at home. But that's a minor problem.
Okay. Mary?
I don't think I've missed anything at all. It was more convenient when I could just let my dog out in the backyard. But now that I walk her 3 or 4 times a day, it's good for both of us. So it was a win-win.
One of those silver linings in a situation, So one of the concerns I often hear, besides the long hallway, but then we just remind people that is your exercise program, is people say, well, I really miss my garage, whether it be a place to tinker around in or to stick extra stuff or whatever. Most of the communities have covered parking, often for maybe an extra fee is involved for covered parking, and some you can get garages.
Yeah.
And I think you have that option at your apartments as well as an independent living.
I have a garage.
Okay.
And it is oversized enough that I have shelves at the front of it, and I have a few things down the side. My car just goes right in. And it's just a very short distance from my apartment,
Okay.
just across the parking lot.
And we have covered parking. And because we're in a special situation where our children want some of our furniture, but don't want it right today because they're building a house next year. So we have a storage unit that has some of their furniture in it that used to be in our house.
Okay. Yeah, I laugh. There was a gentleman, I think he was on one of our panels, or at least shared this story. He said his garage was in his big plastic bin under his bed. That's where he had saved the tools that he wanted to keep.
Yeah.
So he could do a little home maintenance, and he'd pull out his plastic bin. So that was his garage.
Right.
But also, and I think, I can't remember if you all have a workshop there, but you have, at yours, you all have a workshop with
With all
some
the tools.
tools for woodworking and
Oh,
so.
yeah.
Yeah.
We have a wood shop too.
Okay, good. So, that's part of, in fact, next month's seminar is going to be about touring communities and for people to think ahead, what's important to you? And as you tour a community, to learn how that meshes with you and your lifestyle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, we have a wood shop and I've not been at it yet. We've been here 1.5 years. So
You're
it
just
hasn't
too
been a
busy.
pressing issue.
Okay. Well, we've kind of addressed this one, but I want to highlight it again because it's so important for people to hear. When I can't move to one of those communities with old people, that's always an interesting one. And no, I can't do that. I'll be giving up my independence. We kind of touched on that, but I would like to highlight that and see if there's anything else you all want to add. Marcia, you want to add anything to that?
Well, if we live long enough, we'll all become one of those old people. And some of our old people are past 100 years of age here. You get here, you do the exercise, you pay attention to the activities, you go play bridge or mahjong or, Mexican train or whatever. And take your walks, and you can have your pet. One lady walks her bird every morning, and it keeps you uh, able to live longer. And yes, people are old here because they live longer. I really believe they do.
Well, I know there is research that shows that when people are in a community for the very reasons you've talked about, you've all talked about being around people and the social interaction so we don't just become a
That's
recluse.
right.
You've talked about being active, again, not being a recluse, but whether it be walking, swimming, just getting out and about, getting dressed to go out and about. One of our seminars about a year and a half ago, I liked it because we spent a lot of time talking about what is it that kind of helps us live a longer, healthy quality life, not just live longer, but live longer and be actively engaged. And it's the kinds of things that you all are sharing today. And so some people have gained more access to those things by being in a community than when you're in your own home. So I appreciate that. Um, let's see, and they did comment, you can come and go. In some cases, especially during COVID, you had to sign in, Bill?
And he also, having the housekeeper come in once a week is the first awareness by somebody else of what you're doing in your own house in terms of, are you keeping your pills organized? Are you managing your clothing properly? Are you leaving dishes in the sink? Somebody else is watching that stuff, not as part of their regular job description, I'm sure, but it's still there. And if there was a problem, somebody's going to find out about it before we realize that, hey, we're not keeping ourselves up to par here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
And
also,
that is often one of those signs of a really changing health condition
yeah,
when we
right.
just, we're not the same,
And we go to the dining room every day. We choose to go for one meal a day to the dining room, but we meet with different people at different times, and we can tell how they're doing by observing them frequently and chatting with them frequently. And they're watching us the same way. So we have a community that's looking out for each other, not in the lifesaver kind of way, but just in the social interaction, checking on you kind of way. It feels good.
And I'm glad you said it feels good. It's not that people are just out there scrutinizing
Oh,
your
no,
moves,
no.
but if they were to see something that might be of concern and the way the communities form, that is so important. It's not a judgmental, but if someone might benefit from a little bit more experience, and I've seen people that invite, well, come join us for mahjong or come, join us for something like that.
I have the same thing. My closest neighbors and I have given each other our children's telephone numbers, and we check on each other all the time. We see each other 3 or 4 times a day. We sit out on a patio where we wave at each other. And we have given ourselves that security of knowing we could contact family members if
So you may not have the full structure that they have here, but you have in your own generated. Tell the story about the lost cell phone.
My next door neighbor was looking all over for her cell phone, and we were calling it to see if she could find it in her house, and it wasn't ringing anywhere. And my neighbor across the hall got a call from her son and said, "My mom's cell phone is at HEB."
So you never know what kinds of support might be available there.
But if he hadn't had the number, he probably would have had to come, I don't know how many miles, to tell his mom her phone was at HEB.
And HEB figured out to call him because of the numbers on the phone.
Right.
So that was wonderful. I do want to take a minute here to highlight different options too, because now you've mentioned you don't have a meal plan, but you do have happy hour.
2 times. We have happy hour every Tuesday and Thursday,
Okay.
but on two of the Tuesdays each month, they provide, like we had pizza this week, and they always provide the drinks. They've had sandwiches, they've had hamburgers, they've had spaghetti.
So you have the food and also promotes that interaction.
Right.
You mentioned, Bill, that you all chose to do one meal a day, and you usually eat with different people, and you're in a so yours is dining room. You're a buffet, but you can also order off a menu, I believe.
You can if you want to,
Okay,
but the dining room is also a cafeteria style.
that's
And you always have choice of main dishes and vegetables and, starchy foods. And usually there's a roll and there's always a soup.
okay.
And they do make wonderful soups here. I don't know how they manage that all the time, but they do.
And so, but it's the interaction. I'm going to tell the story on you, Bill. When I was, sharing with our panelists before they met each other, and I'd highlighted Mary's decision, and when she said she didn't want the meal plan, and I thought I was going to be attacked by Bill but that's where the interaction is. So I warned Mary that no, we're not getting into a dueling match about
Right.
but then even within meal plans, this is something as people visit communities, what does that mean if there is a meal plan, which there
Well,
would be?
The meal plan is that when you pay your rent, you pay for 30 meals.
Okay,
And
so
you
there,
can have
Our choice.
any time of day that you want.
okay,
When you've done more, the fee for added on is very, very reasonable. I mean, you can't buy the food at HEB for what they're charging for the extra meals. So it gives us a whole lot of flexibility. And if we're gone for a week or two, we can go to the bistro and pick up a couple of pizzas and put them in the freezer if necessary to make up for the meals we did not have because we were out of town. So there are various ways you can attack that. And really, if we don't feel like going to the dining room, we can get an order from the bistro and enjoy that in our apartment or in the bistro seating area
Or outside.
or outside.
so lots of options. Now, in some communities, and this is something you always want to just find out about, some communities have common meal times. Breakfast is served at 8:30 or 9 or whatever it is, lunch at 12, dinner at 5:30 or whatever. And if there were a need, a meal could be brought to you. But it is served family style at those times. The philosophy in those communities is they want that interaction. They don't want someone to go these flexible hours and just be by themselves. We're all different. We
Yeah.
have different needs, different interests. So while one plan may work for somebody else, it may not work as well for somebody else. So just one of those things. I know, like here in our area, they may have a little more flexibility now, but Oaks is one. They have at Oaks Gracious Living there in Williams. They had the meal times, and you sit together at a table and are served your meal. And well, you can actually order, but it's all that. It's a certain time is when you go, whereas others have the flexible hours. Now, we focused on apartments today, but I also want just to highlight for people that, and floor plans, let me ask, you have a 2-bedroom apartment, Bill and Nancy?
We have
Okay,
a 1-bedroom.
okay,
We are right now in a small room, which we have turned into an office. And, but it is a 1-bedroom apartment. And from this small room, you could go outside to the patio.
so you have a bedroom and this extra room, which you
This is-
made into an office, and then you have a living
Right.
room
Living
also.
room
Right.
with dining space and the kitchen.
Okay,
It's a very nice kitchen. It would do for full time if you needed.
okay, there you go. And
For example, when we moved in here, some other lady had had this apartment for a couple of years. The dishwasher had never been run because the
Yeah.
water wasn't hooked up. We ran it the first time, and all we got was hot dishes. And so we had to have the maintenance guys come in and fix up the water so we could run the dishwasher. But our kitchen's got, dishwasher, microwave, stove, refrigerator, the whole bit. No
Yeah.
problem.
yeah, I know one couple that live over at the Wesleyan. I understand he's I call him the official cookie maker. He loves to cook and make cookies for all
Assistant cookie
occasions.
maker.
Oh,
What's
he's
that?
got a lot of competition for that.
Oh, okay.
Right here.
Oh, there's one right there. Uh-oh, okay. Well, Nancy,
Give us
I need to
the
come
rest.
taste your cookies. I need to come taste them then, so I
You
can.
gotta make some first. The problem is when we make a batch, we give away down the hall little supplies, and they're all gone.
Well, I'm gonna find out when your next cookies are coming out. I think I need to come by and visit. Okay, oh, so, the different meal plans, different kinds of activities that are provided, depending on parking garage. Also, oh, I know, I meant to ask you, what is your square footage about? Do you remember?
750,
How much?
750.
750, okay. And for
We
some
have
of you,
one bathroom,
one bathroom,
yeah,
okay.
and one
And
bedroom.
some people who are on waiting list because we have to have whatever, 2 bedroom, 2 bath. And then there've been situations where some people may say, well, no, that doesn't seem to be coming available. I can take something else and then maybe later move into
That's
something else.
exactly what happened to us.
Okay.
We were on the waiting list for a 2 bedroom. And when we went to call back and say, we think it's about time, they said, well, what we got available is just 1 bedroom plus study on the first floor with a patio to go outside with the dog. And it's got a washer and dryer inside the unit in a big closet. Um, and we looked at it once and said, that's us.
Yeah,
That's
we
great.
could pull in our elbows, get rid of some more stuff. It's all stuff.
It is. So a 750 in your case, that's worked very well for the two of you.
Yes,
Your home do you know what your square footage of your home was?
1,300.
Okay, so you went down just a little, just about half, a little more than
About
half.
half, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just mentioning that for people. Oh, I could never do that. You can, folks. And we've got people who can
That was our
help
third
you do that.
Yeah.
So now your apartment, Mary, is,
It's 840 square feet. I
Yeah.
have 2 bedrooms, 1.5 bath. I do have a washer dryer also,
Yeah.
living area and kitchen. I'm on the first floor with also a nice patio. But my home was 2,200 square feet.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I went down
Yeah.
A lot.
Yes.
And it is doable. Part of the problem is what to do with that stuff. Stay tuned for other seminars. We will be discussing that
Right.
in a couple of months, I believe. And there are people who can help you. Do not, and I tell this story a lot too. When I talk with admissions people in communities and they'll have, a senior or a couple to come visit. Okay, well, I think we're about ready. We're going to make the move. Too often they go back home and see all the stuff, all that collection. Nope, it's just too much trouble. There's no way I can. So you can live in a smaller space. You're probably not using all that larger space. And there are people who can help you make that downsizing. So stay tuned for that information.
Virginia, I think it was also helpful for me, for my family to help me clean out my closet or clean out the closets where I had all the stuff that I didn't even know.
Yes.
And
And if your timing is right, so that your granddaughter is moving into her first house, that was just ideal. It was like, well, don't you have more stuff? Nope, I'll go into my granddaughter.
they took a lot.
That when I was over there and I'm gonna, do we make arrangements for this? Nope, I'm taking it. It was a good deal.
It was great for both of us.
Yeah. Okay.
Virginia, one more thing about it, the independent living. Like you said, we also have at Wesleyan the home health services. So if we need a little more help, like somebody to arrange our pills once a week, the home health can come in and do that service in our independent house, independent apartment.
And that's important to know. That's one of the things we're seeing across the industry to a different degree.
Yeah.
As what's the difference between independent living and assisted living? There we need more, a resident needs more assistance with what we call the activities of daily living.
Right. And every
Often
day.
medication being
Yeah.
a major thing. Are they taking the pills and so on?
Right.
It may
Right.
just be showering, getting up. But
That's
what
right.
we're seeing more and more is in independent living communities, sometimes within the community, they have a built-in or in-house service. You pay a little bit for it.
Of course.
Or if not, you can bring in,
Yes.
and, like visiting angels or some of those.
Yes, good.
And that's becoming quite common to help people stay in independent living longer than going to assisted living. Now,
Right.
you could do the same thing. It's not provided by your community, but you could perhaps contract with a
A
group.
lot of the people have home health
Okay.
in my
Good.
community.
Yeah.
All right. So another part I wanted to mention is people look at different communities. At the Wesleyan, you're fortunate you have your independent living, assisted memory care, skilled nursing, and you're on the priority to move, if it need be, to assisted living,
Yeah.
rather than the outsider trying to get in there. Those within the independent living community have a priority
Yes.
to take those apartments. So I know we're seeing more and more people are really setting that as a high priority, that we have the different levels of care available.
Right.
Now, there's one other way that is presented sometimes, and terminologies can often get in our way, but we do have products that are called CCRCs, continuing care retirement communities. Now, they're overlap terms and so on, but by this are life care, and like Wesleyan has all levels, which is great. These particular communities, it is a contractual relationship, and generally there is a very large deposit, initial payment made.
Mhm.
And then there is a contractual agreement that this community, you have to be checked out financially and physically. You will, no, then you're going to pay that amount of money, the remainder. You pay your deposit, very large. You pay a monthly lease, just as we are with these others. But the difference there is you're guaranteed that is the price you will pay. There may be some increases, more meals are added if you move into assisted living or whatever. But say something were to happen and someone ended up right away in assisted, or say in memory care or whatever, it's a much higher fee. But in those particular way, now it's if you had the means to do it, and if any of you are interested in more information, in fact, one of our regular attendees just moved to a CCRC in Nashville. She really valued that. I know what I'm going to be paying monthly the remainder of my life.
Yeah.
She was in a position where she could make the large deposit, and then when she passes away, usually 90% of that goes to the estate. Now, and we're seeing more and more variations on that. But for people who have the means, and when it's in the Austin area, well, we have other communities that have the different levels of care. We have 3 of what we call the true CCRCs. That would be Longhorn Village, Westminster, across from Camp Mabry, and Carinthia out in the Barton Springs area. And so those, but it's, again, I know there's a large deposit required, but it depends on people, what they have and how they want to, to use that money. But if any people are interested in learning more about those, please let me know, and we can provide more information. Well, I want to wrap up with you before we open it up to the floor. I want you just to react to what we had as our revised title for our seminar. Is your home taking the fun out of life? If you didn't see our flyer or our ad, I loved it. It had the guy studying his leaking water heater, and then juxtaposed to that are a couple having a great time with their flapper outfits and out roaring 20 type partying and so on. But is your home taking the fun out of life? This is I didn't tell you, I don't think you're going to get this question. But Mary, so this would be if you're still in your home. Is your home taking the fun out of your life?
It was.
And you didn't realize it.
I didn't realize it. Right.
Okay.
And you know, I still have friends in Sun City and I still do things, but I had to make myself do things. And here, I want to do things.
Okay. All right.
Uh,
So, and I must say, yeah, I've just seen you feel more active in your particular situation, because I have known Mary for a number of years.
I actually am more healthy.
Okay.
I feel better.
Those walks that you're doing?
Exactly.
Okay. All right. So Bill and Nancy, when you were living in your home, is your home taking the fun out of life, or was it?
Well, we didn't think so, but when we got here, we realized yes, it really had. And I think we're just enjoying so much the activities and social life that we have here, uh, which did not replace our prior social life that much. We do go back and visit our old neighbors a little bit, but not, you know, not even once a week or something like that. Just once in a while, talk to them. So we have so much going on here and so much support, as well as activities.
Nancy, anything to add?
No, we do have the happiness hour every Friday, and where the staff provides the snack, and we can bring our own drink.
Ah,
that.
okay.
But they also provide punch if that's what you'd like. And yesterday they had the birthday party, welcome party for the new residents. And they had a jazz pianist who was very entertaining, a young man who sang as well as made those keyboards rock. And, you know, they do those things regularly. And then people are free to use some of the rooms for their own parties if they wish.
And don't forget the beanbag baseball. Do
Right.
not get in the way of anybody going to play beanbag baseball.
Oh, yeah.
And you can play that because we've got one who's 104 who plays regularly.
Okay, all right. So, yep.
Not jumping out of airplanes.
That's right. I was going to say that probably the same person that was
Yes,
a story about in the paper. And
Right.
you know, some people, I can hear you in your own living rooms going, who wants to play beanbag baseball? That is a stupid idea.
Yes.
Well, I challenge you to do not say that. You will be in serious trouble if you say that over at the Wesleyan. But you just go watch it and make your own.
Well, there are 40 participants out of 300 residents, so it's not a mandatory thing at all. But those of us who do play enjoy it and have a good time.
And some don't play it very well, but they enjoy being there with the people. And usually our activities director who's present calls about everybody's name as they come up. And that's so helpful, you know, to week after week, you hear that name called. After a while, you get so you know it.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's okay. But I think that point that you both made is when we're no, I'm fine. I'm not missing out on anything living in my own home. And in both of these, with these situations, we hear people who new opportunities have opened up, and you realize the benefits of those just for enjoying life and remaining engaged and so on. Okay, well, I want to thank you, but you're not off the hook yet. I want to see if we can have some interaction from our panel, our attendees. So down on, I believe it will be on the lower part of your screen, you'll see the raise hand. And if you have a question you want to ask us, you get the real live information. Feel free to raise your hand and join in with us. Even if you're up on the North Shore of Lake Superior, strayers, I love this in the summer. They go up, one of my favorite, we used to go to the Boundary Waters, and we would, didn't know them at that time, drive by their place, and we would go out on our canoe
Right.
camping trip. And
Right.
it looks like you all may be familiar with that too. So,
We've been there and we know the strayers.
oh, okay, all right. So, so anyway, I know they're on the call. I don't have any questions, but thought it was fun to put people on the spot. Any questions? Let's see. Oh, there are. I'm so sorry. Irene Johnson. Let's find out what your question is. Can you unmute yourself? We have you set up on our end. If you'll push the little microphone to So Irene,
Hi, Virginia.
hi, how are you?
I'm great. How about you?
Just fine. Now, Irene went through this with her own parents, making a decision to move from their home to an independent living community a few years ago. So, adult children's experience can be interesting. That's not your question, I'm sure. I just threw that in. Okay, Irene, what's your question?
Okay, so I have been looking at different options for myself. As I'm approaching 80, I'm thinking that the time is getting near when I want to get out of this house. And I like the idea of the 55 plus apartment. And I actually did some research on the Affinity. And so my question is, I wonder if there are any more like that out there, and if so, how would you find them? Because mostly I've been finding the independent living facilities rather than the apartments.
That's a good question, Irene. And we are seeing more of them popping up. There's several Overtour communities in the area. I know there's one down by the Arboretum. I'm working with some clients who are moving down there. In their particular case, they love the movie theater there at the Arboretum or whatever that complex. I always forget which is which there. But and it is, from what I can understand, similar to Affinity. But that's a very good question. I made a note about that, Irene. As we come across more, we'll let you know. We're going to add more about that on our website too. I have to tell a quick story about 55 plus apartments. There was a couple who'd been to a couple of seminars. Well, anyway, for a long time ago. They were actually there the very first year, 6 years ago. And we visited with them then. And over the years, I'd see them periodically, and they were checking out all these options. And she'd been to see a 55 plus community apartment. And it must have been another Affinity, because there's the one in Round Rock, there's one in Walnut,
Wells Branch.
Wells Branch, and there's some others. But anyway, and I have to laugh, and they know I tell this story. That she said those kitchen cabinets are so small I cannot get my dishes in there. I just, that doesn't work. And so when I was down visiting Mary at Affinity a few weeks ago, and she took me on the tour, and a gentleman and I were kind of looking at each other, and finally he said, "Aren't you Virginia Lazenby?" Yes. And anyway, then we got connected. And I laughed. I just told Mary this, it was that particular couple. I said, when we had gone to the closing on her house that morning, and I'd commented, I wonder whatever, if Fitzner's there, anyway, if people ever moved, they wouldn't be surprised. And I was telling the kitchen cabinet story. And so then when he spoke with me, and I said, I was just talking about you. And he said, oh, they decided it was okay. They worked around it. In Mary's case, you were adding open shelves, which are very popular now anyway. So you can have a place for your dishes.
Right.
But oh my gosh, I didn't think I'd ever get away from the fellow. I got the complete sales pitch on the apartments and the activities there. And don't forget this and don't forget that. And it's fun to see. One of the things we talk about when people are downsizing is when you make your move, embrace your new community. Now, I like, Mary and Marcia's all shared, you still kept connections with your friends in your previous neighborhood home, but you really, and I think Marcia's, gets a little bit less often perhaps, but you're engaged in that new community. So I know, Irene, I didn't mean to take over your question. Do you have other questions too, or did that help you a little bit?
Yeah, that helps me, especially if you put me on your list of notifications when you do learn of other ones.
Okay.
I have toured a couple of places. I toured Sky out in Leander, and aside from the ones that I toured while I was looking for my parents. And so, yeah, I just don't know how to go about finding other places that I'm looking for.
Okay, one of the things we've learned in this group, and I can't wait, and I hope you'll join us when we go live again next month, is I love it when people become resources to each other too. And so if any of you are aware of this question focused on the 55 plus apartments, please let us know. And thanks for asking. That was a great question, Irene. Kay Walker. Can you unmute yourself, Kay? I think, speak up. Are you there? Kay? Let's see. I think you're,
Yep, it's unmuted.
okay.
Okay.
Kay? All right, maybe she'll connect with us in a minute. Nathan Smith.
Hi,
Hi, Nathan. How are you?
we're good. I'm here with my wife, Kiana,
Uh-huh.
and my question is there a long waiting list for a lot of these facilities that you have to take into account? Is there kind of an average waiting list that you know of, or is that something that's just too variable depending upon the facilities?
It's one of those questions that yes to all of them, but I am so glad you brought that up. I'd had that in notes and then I skipped over it. One of the things that I encourage people to do is always get accurate information, because we often have that rumor, oh, someone was on the waiting list for 4 or 5 years. Well, that may have been the case. In fact, Marcia's, I think, mentioned you were on the waiting list perhaps for a couple of years.
Yeah.
In some of the communities, such as the Wesleyan, a lot of things have changed since COVID. Some people have made moves, so you want updated information. But the thing I warn people about is some of those people on the waiting list, because Nancy and Bill mentioned they wanted a 2-bedroom apartment and whatever else your criteria were. And that's quite common. And so there's often a long waiting list there. Others who, if you want to have a pet with you, that may result in a longer waiting list, because in Wesleyan, you have to be on the first floor. And there are other complexes, other communities that have different kinds of criteria for that. So it's really an individual matter, so it's not a straightforward number. And whatever was said, before last March, I think in many times it's changed now, because COVID did result in some people moving and things opening up. But so it's not an answer, Nathan, except to say, talk with the particular community and get accurate information.
And it doesn't hurt to take a tour.
Oh,
And,
definitely.
make an appointment and take a tour. If any place that you're interested in, you may have a geographical wish and go visit some of those places, and
That's
you'll
right.
find out what their waiting list looks like. A visit doesn't mean I'm ready to move next week. It just means I have an interest, and people know that. They're usually happy to show you around, tell you their story.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned it. It's a great segue. We're not going to jump completely to it, but next month's seminar, no longer webinar, will be about touring senior communities. And one of the things, and I liked what you said, doesn't mean I'm moving right now.
Right.
You're going to get information.
That's right.
If you wait until you want to move right now, it may be too late because of your own condition, or if you're not on the waiting list, if there should be. But we're going to next month, and I think some people are reluctant to go visit. Oh, I don't want someone marketing to me and just pouncing on me about my community. I really do not think that's true in the senior industry. These people who work with you, whether they be a marketing person, admissions person, whatever they are, whoever they are, they want you to be a good match for their community. And there are differences. And so we're going to be talking a lot about that next month on our August seminar. And I'm hoping to resurrect, before COVID, we had offered field trips where we took people. We've got great local communities, but if you expand your geographical area, sometimes maybe 30 minutes or so away, you open up a lot more possibilities that might work well. So we're going to see if we can organize some more field trips that we took some people could sign up for. So pressure's on me now to get those lined up and to announce next month, but hopefully we'll have those. But you can only, and if you need to know how to go, well, I'll come next month, but we can give names of people. I know there, and again, during COVID, those visitations were very limited because we didn't want people coming in from the outside or both ways. So, but now that's changed, and they want to see, but well, we're going to talk a lot about that next month. You still want to get to the real story, and if you can, or if we can help you visit with a resident to know what, again, they're all their own stories, not everybody's the same. But I know there have been some communities where their calendar looked really wonderful with all the activities, but do those activities really go on? I mean, and getting more of the information, it's got to be a match for everybody. So touring, and not when you're ready to move next week. You need to do it ahead of time so you can be informed. Okay, any other question? Let's see. Maybe we got Kay's answers. I think her hand went, oh, no. Okay. Let me. So Kay Walker, do you still have your question? If you will unmute yourself. Okay. Well, or if you don't, just gonna ask, let me know. We'll see if we can address it even afterwards if we need to. Okay, I do want to call to your attention, and again, there may be some other questions that we'll pick up with in just a minute. But in the slides before the presentation, one of them that was rotating was mentioning our Downsizing Smarter, Seniors Downsizing Smarter Club. And right now we have 7 people in the club, and we meet monthly. And it's really a support group for people who are considering downsizing. Some of these people, planning to move in the fall, they have thanks, Jeff. They, so they have a kind of a goal in mind. Others just know they're going to be doing it, and they're interested in being what we call a support group. And we share more specific information just about the whole downsizing process, both in terms of getting rid of the stuff, perhaps organizing, but also being prepared for the move. What's really going to be involved in selling a home? What's really going to be involved when I get an offer on my house? All of it is designed to help people be more educated about the process. We meet the first Thursday of each month, and that has already been live. We meet at First Presbyterian. If you're interested, you can call our Seniors Living Smarter number, or you can reach out to me, 512-818-0988. But we have great materials we share with people, and it's fun to see that small group form and support each other in their move, and sharing resources back and forth. Okay. Let's see, I've already highlighted next month's seminar, which will be at 10 a.m. at First Presbyterian. I just want to highlight for you, if you are new to attending the seminars, First Presbyterian is on the corner of 8th and Church Street. You will enter, we do ask that you register ahead of time so we can have materials prepared for you. The registration will be available, or is available on our website, Seniors Living Smarter seminar.com/seminars. And it starts at 10. Our resource area opens at about 9:30. We'll make it open at 9:30, and registration open at 9:30. So if you choose to come early, you can look at materials and so on. I'll give you a little insider's tip that the main parking there is no parking lot, it's street parking. On 8th Street is the first block that is not 3-hour parking for the square. And so it's a popular parking area for businesses, employees. So it does fill, but they're in front of the church on 8th Street. No, on 7th. What street is it on? You're not helping me.
Church and 7th.
What?
Church
Seventh.
and 7th.
Okay, thank you. Church and 7th. But the main entrance there is on 7th Street. It's a lovely entrance. They had just redone it just not too long before COVID. And there's going to be a real surprise when you register. When you come in, they have just completely changed that entry area, taken out the parlor. So there's a lot more space there. We'll have more space for our sponsors to share information, for our presenters to be there to interact with people. So I hope to see you there. And then just if we should have more questions. At the end of this, before you click off, when we do finish, there is a feedback type form. And I would love for you to complete the feedback. Part of it is, learning, how many people or who will be able to attend live, how many people still want to continue watching on the blog, which is fine. You can obviously do both. But I do know because of mobility issues sometimes or caregiving that people like to watch it on the website, and it will be going up usually the week afterwards. So let me ask, first of all, I want to thank the panelists. Any last words you have, Mary or Bill and Nancy?
Thank you very much for having me.
Oh,
It was fun.
Good.
Good.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you sharing your stories, and I'm sure if people had specific questions, you wouldn't mind visiting with them about that. So that we appreciate that. And I think you've given people a lot to think about, especially the fact that sometimes we didn't know what the benefits would be until after we made the move. So that's great. Let me ask Brielle and Jeff, is there anything that I've missed I was supposed to cover today?
Not that I can think of.
No, not that I can think of.
Okay, well, that you have just been such tremendous supporters, and thank you for all your work and getting these webinars up and broadcasting and celebration when we'll be live next month. That'd be great. So stay tuned to complete your feedback form. And I guess if that's it, we thank you very much for attending. We thank you all, our panelists, for presenting, and look forward to seeing you in August. Take care. Bye-bye.